check this out. Tesla has had 0 green days since Trump's inauguration. One of the reasons I think Tesla stock could explode to the upside following Tesla earnings tomorrow is this. Not a single green day since the inauguration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red days in a row. Could turn into a couple more, okay? That, I think, sets you up in a good way heading into Tesla earnings. Like, it's so negative that it's good. A lot of the time, if stocks sell off into earnings, they can rally after earnings. Unless there is some big, bad, black swan, boogeyman news coming, in which I don't think that is the case for Tesla. One reason, let me tell you, is the short positions today. As I reported in the last video, there was 2.1 million shares that had been covered. In fact, now the final numbers are coming out. 2.6 million shares today have been covered. Normally, if you see short sellers covering before earnings, before a big catalyst, it's a really good sign for what we could see upon earnings. In this case, the catalyst is earnings. Now, here in this video, I will explain what's important for Tesla earnings, what we kind of know, and how things could change. So there's some variables that we already know. Okay, just to put this in simpler terms. Last quarter, Elon gave us guidance for 20 to 30% delivery growth. That is expected. Okay, now what's interesting about this, even though we got 20-30% guidance for Tesla, Wall Street is discounting that by quite a bit. We're only pricing in about 16% delivery growth this year. So if Elon reiterates that guidance, as I think he most likely will, or even the 20%, the low side of that, you know, that's going to be enough, I think, to be positive, considering we're only pricing in 16%. I see that as an upside catalyst for tomorrow. And if you guys don't know, Tesla reports earnings tomorrow in after hours. Now, here in this video, we will also go over Jerome Powell and how that will impact Tesla. And I think that's another reason why Tesla stock will explode higher coming tomorrow. Now, some of the other factors that we kind of already know to be true, or at least based on expectations. We are expecting Robotaxi will launch in in California and Texas this year. If that changes, that's bad. Okay. If that stays the same, I think considering Tesla's fallen almost $100 and has had 6 red days in a row, that would be seen as positive. Just reiteration of the news that we got on the last earnings call. Okay. So that I'm expecting will stay the same. If not, we could actually get some optimistic guidance for maybe a couple of other states, not just California and Texas. Some of that has to do with deregulation and what I believe will be advancements to AI. So all of these things are kind of already known. They're not the big things that'll cause Tesla stock to really skyrocket tomorrow. Could they cause the stock to go up a bit? Sure. But into the 500s, it's not these catalysts. The next thing that we kind of already know is the lower price Tesla is expected to start production in the first half of this year. If that changes, that is a dagger in the coffin for Tesla. If Tesla delays that, then all of a sudden, even 16% delivery growth will be seen as a challenge for Tesla. That will likely cause estimates to come down, and that will cause Tesla stock to fall. Like, if you are in the bear camp for Tesla, you are bagging or betting, if you will, on Tesla to throw out the Model 2 until the second half of this year or until 2026. If Elon and Tesla confirm that that is still on track to be launched by the end of this quarter, by the end of Q2 at least, Tesla stock is just fine. Okay, these are things we already know. So I don't see much upside, in fact, to that catalyst. You know, we kind of already know that. If it's canceled, if the Model 2 is delayed until 2026, that's bad. So I actually see more of a downside catalyst to that versus upside catalyst. Since Tesla just launched the Model Y, I don't think they're going to be in a huge rush to get the Model 2 out. So I don't think the timeline is going to speed up on that, in other words. The big upside catalysts for Tesla are, in fact, things that we know that Wall Street does not. You have a bit of a heads up on this via watching these videos and being a viewer of this channel. At the bare minimum, being, you know, someone in the retail Tesla community. First catalyst of which is Optimus. Optimus is currently not in most of Wall Street's valuation models for Tesla, right? Optimus is seen as this wild card potential catalyst that isn't paid attention to today, right? There's really no numbers put on this in any kind of serious way, right? People don't buy Tesla. Wall Street doesn't buy Tesla because of Optimus prospects. Okay. There's been this rumor going on for Tesla for a while now that Tesla actually told their suppliers to be prepared for Tesla to be producing 600 Optimus bots by the end of this week per week. Now, I don't know if that is going to be some kind of contract with another company, whether that is, you know, some kind of warehouse company or where these bots are ultimately going to be going. I don't think you're going to be able to buy one anytime soon, but could be some kind of contract in the works for another company. Okay, that would make sense. If Tesla says that they have a contract now with a company to start taking Optimus bots by the end of this year, Tesla stock will absolutely explode. Okay, that is something that all of a sudden gets put into Tesla models when it has not been in Tesla models yet. That would be absolutely massive. Over time, it would grow to be huge, but I think just the, you know, Tesla's selling Optimus shock factor would cause Tesla stock to absolutely explode tomorrow. So I think that is one of the biggest catalysts, if not the biggest potential catalyst that we could get tomorrow. Now, I don't know if Elon's going to say that. I think he will. I think he will kind of reiterate some of the rumors that we have, considering that is one of the top asked questions by retail investors for the conference call tomorrow. So number one question is unsupervised FSD still planned to be released in Texas and California this year? What hurdles still exist to make this happen? That's number one. And Tesla usually answers the top three at least. Number two, is Optimus now mostly design locked for 2025 production? They're going to answer that. And number three, when will Tesla start selling Optimus and at what price? They should answer that one as well. And if they do, Wall Street is going to be shocked. They're going to be caught by surprise with their pants down, essentially. And Tesla stock is going to explode. Now, the other big catalyst that I see for Tesla, which this may shock you guys, but it was actually a big catalyst before. Where was it? One of these days. It was a while ago, so I don't know exactly what day it was. I believe it was here on October. No, that was Trump. I don't know what day it was. I could fact check it or figure it out exactly when the date was. But Tesla stock went up like 14% on surprise news that FSD will be entering the Chinese market at some time. This news was like, it feels like it was like 6 months ago. But it kind of took everyone by surprise, and Tesla stock absolutely ripped. Ever since then, it hasn't been talked about much. And I actually think this is a big deal for Tesla stock, getting FSD into China. because it's so high margin. So if you're thinking about something that will boost profitability, FSD is that catalyst. It is that product that has 80-90% net margins. And the Chinese consumer may actually take very well to FSD. So we've gotten some rumors recently that FSD will be launched in China by the end of Q1. That's March 31st. Okay. If that is talked about on the earnings call, I think that is a big upside catalyst that is not priced into Tesla stock really at all at this point. Now, we're also expecting FSD to enter the European market at some point in the first half of 2025, but I think Europe's going to come a little bit later. I think China could theoretically be first, and China's a much larger market from that perspective. So Optimus with FSD, it's really going to put a focus on Tesla's AI endeavors. The AI endeavors are going to be, or really start to become more obvious that they are front and center, that Tesla is not a car company anymore. Tesla is an AI and robotics company. And I think this earnings is really going to solidify that for a lot of people on Wall Street. And I think Tesla stock is going to go much higher on that. I think that is, tomorrow is definitively going to be a positive for Tesla. Now, I don't really see the negative catalyst at this point to cause Tesla to fall unless Elon were to, give us bad guidance on robotaxi, delay the Model 2, or just talk really negative about like the economy, about the consumer, about demand or something like that, which none of those things to me seem particularly likely. Okay. And judging again off of what we've seen today, almost 3 million shares that were covered on, that really doesn't seem likely that we're going to get some big bad news, because let's face it, if you're someone on Wall Street, if you're, Citadel or Sequoia or BlackRock or whatever, you likely know someone that knows something about Tesla earnings, right? Earnings get leaked all the time. And it wouldn't surprise me if some of those shorts covering, well, kind of already know what is going to be said on the conference call. They already know that there's going to be some big developments with Optimus this year and FSD entering into the Chinese market. Like yes, this may sound like theory or like a tinfoil hat, but this stuff happens. Like, you gotta read the signs sometimes and come to your own conclusions. And I recommend that you guys come to your own conclusions. Don't just listen to me blindly. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I am positioning for an explosive move higher in Tesla stock. Even notice over the past 2 days now, yesterday and now today, AI software stocks have done very well, which is Tesla. Tesla has not done well because I think there is, uncertainty around earnings, right? And it's not the earnings themselves. Earnings don't matter for Tesla. Revenue, profitability to a certain extent, like EPS, really don't matter too much. Tesla, they miss on EPS most of the time. It doesn't determine whether the stock is going to do well or not. It's going to move the stock 1 to 2% coming at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Auto gross margins will be important. Last quarter, they beat expectations by quite a lot. So if that happens again, that's going to be great news. But it's not the end-all, be-all, again, for Tesla. So I think purely with Tesla earnings, you could easily see the stock rally about 20% tomorrow, because you're down almost 20% from your previous highs of $488. To get back to the previous high at $488, you would technically need to see a 22.5% rally. I think you could see 20% tomorrow. Well, technically on Thursday, right? I think Tesla could probably go up 10-12% following earnings and the conference call, and then continue to rise throughout the day on Thursday, because everyone wants to be in the next big AI stock, and Tesla is the next big AI stock. Just a lot of Wall Street, they haven't figured it out yet. Now, Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell's another big catalyst for our markets. Jerome Powell's actual statement will come out at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And then we will get Powell that speaks at 2:30 p.m. This is just my personal opinion. I think Powell did not mean to be as bearish the last Fed conference as it came off. Okay, so I think from that perspective, the Fed's got some wrongdoing to right. Okay, to make right on the last press conference that really threw up in the air whether the Fed was going to hike rates this year, if there was going to be a cut at all, if inflation was going to skyrocket. Trump recently pretty much threatened the Fed and said, you guys need to cut rates. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily the Fed is going to listen to Trump and actually cut rates, but I think they will try to get some of the optionality back open again. Okay, because if we look at what the markets are pricing in for Fed policy, we're not actually pricing in the first Fed cut again until June 18th, 2025. I don't think the Fed wants to handicap markets to a cut June 18th. I think the Fed wants to have optionality to potentially be able to cut rates in March if they wanted to. Now, the odds of a rate cut in March are only 29%, 70.4% chance of a continued pause. I think the Fed wants to open the door for this and get this number closer to about 50%. Okay, that is my opinion. That's what I think. Now, there's actually a 25% chance the Fed's going to raise rates this year. And I think that's going to fall to zero. I think after this conference, Jerome Powell is going to make it very clear that they're not worried about inflation. They see a strong economy. And they're vigilant to inflation. That's why they want to pause for a bit, but they are prepared to lower rates further. And the Fed saying that they don't see inflation, it's going to be very positive. Now, also consider that we just got some data that came out in the last couple of days that market rents, have actually just declined on a year-over-year basis the first time since Q2 of 2010. That is very disinflationary. Let me show you the post here on my X account. If you guys want to follow this, go follow it. It's Michael Tyler over there. Free 99. I give you updates long before they're talked about in videos or all of the breaking news you get here on this X account. I pinned this on November 23rd, 2024. I said this is the biggest secret for 2025. Under Trump, we will see inflation come down more than expected via Doge and really just rents coming down. I talked about rents coming down in November of 2024. And it just happened in a huge way. I said it has already started. It takes a long time to get rent inflation down, but current market rents show this as proof. And I say tariffs will only be enacted to the point of which they don't impact the economy. When the spy starts throwing a fit, that's a no-go for the Trump regime. We've already seen that with Colombia. Okay. Countries really don't want a tariff issue with the U.S. And I still think that's true. Trump's not going to enact tariffs that negatively impact the economy or really just the stock market. Okay, that's why there's no tariffs put on yet. Everyone thought day one there was going to be tariffs in the executive order. That's not going to happen. We will get tariffs on industries that are not as important. But just threatening tariffs can have a big economical impact. It can start, pushing companies to consider building plants and doing business in America. I would say that's bullish. Okay. And again, circling back to the Fed, I think there's enough reason to open the door for a cut in March. That's what Fed Williams said just like 2 weeks ago, that he's not worried about tariffs causing inflation, that the Fed could be cutting rates, in the next couple of months if the data continues to come in line with their forecast. So I think the Fed's actually going to be a very positive catalyst tomorrow. So we're going to have the backdrop of the Fed and what I believe will be a positive catalyst heading into Tesla earnings, which I think will also be positive. Mix the two of these together, and I think you get an explosion in Tesla stock. I think in the next couple of weeks, we could well be past $500 per share. In between 540 and 580 would not surprise me in the slightest bit for Tesla. Especially, again, as software AI names have really outperformed and excelled over the past 2 days. Tesla has a lot of catching up to do once they show everyone that Tesla is top dog in AI. Okay? I see this as very easy, clean cut, straightforward. We could be surprised. We could have a negative surprise tomorrow. If we do, watch out below. $320 per share is the level in which we will fill. You basically fill all the gaps at that point, and it takes us back to a volume shelf here and a consolidation and basing out that we had really between about 360 and 309. Okay, before we then broke out even further towards the end of November and then into December. That aligns with the 100-day moving average, and that's where you would find some support. You've seen the past 2 days, we found support at the 50-day moving average. That's a good sign. But if things are bad, you're going to head to that 100-day moving average. And I know there's going to be people that come out and say the 200-day moving average around 258 is the level to watch. And that could be true, but you would need an absolute disaster to get Tesla stock back down to $258. Like an absolute disaster at this point. And I don't see that coming. I mean, could you fall to the 100-day moving average down to 320? You'd lose, what, $60, $70 per share in Tesla? That could happen. That is a decline from here of about 19.4%. Like, that's still a very big fall, and I just don't see that as likely at this point. I see it much more likely by the end of this week, Tesla could be around 480 to 500 and then proceed higher in the following week, well into the 500s. That's my expectation. I just see there as being a lot of good news recently the markets have ignored for one reason or another. They've ignored it. Rumors about Optimus, ignored. Model Y refreshed. Model Y launches, ignored. All of these days, Tesla stock has been red, as I showed you previously. I mean, rumors that FSD is going to enter the Chinese market. I mean, ignored. Tesla launched a free trial of enhanced autopilot and ASS services in China. I don't know much, more of a clear indication that FSD is going to launch in China than that. Ignored. All of this good news has been ignored. And I think production of Optimus by the end of this year, 600 units per week, is very positive. I think the refreshed Model Y is very positive, especially for margins at that higher price point. I think FSD launching in China is very good, right? Very bullish. But the stock hasn't reacted to it. I think we got a lot of pent-up catalyst here we could start to react to coming tomorrow after earnings. These are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy your evenings, and I will see you in the next one.